that history, and now the new one will be what they replace that with, and then we lose that history, and the ones who come through us or came through you and are now here witnessing it, all they are being filled with fear, their cells are being put onto a negative program, and it's time for us to stay where we are, maybe. Or I was going to say instead that it's time to put ourselves in the shoes of those who came before, knowing that there is truly a war and we need to respect all those monuments that were reflective of the ones who fought for what we have right now, and also know that the Constitution in the U.S. and other places have been written in cursive writing, and then the children have stopped being taught that, because if they know how to read the Constitution, then they'll see that they were free at one time. And if we don't actually take our power back and give it to the people, understanding we are the ones who can walk through the streets and use our words to change the world, we have to understand our power, we have to understand. We cannot just step back and let them tear down our history if we want to have a repeat of that, but we won't be here. 'Cause we are even too close to the history that they want to erase from our minds if we don't stop and take a stand. If we get into these streets together, we have so much power. It's time for us to understand that we have to band together. We won't band together with everyone, because there's ones who have been so ingrained and indoctrinated into the system as it stands. They don't realize it's the one that is sick, but it will say that the ones who are free thinkers like me and you are the sick ones, and they will try to say that we are not sane. I wound up in a mental institution last year, don't you know? I often say it because I am not afraid of what it means, and I don't let it define me. I just say they've diagnosed me as bipolar because I vibe too high for the system to sustain itself the way that it can't. If we stand in our light and understand how powerful we are as a clan of light workers, my friends. Oh my God, it's so exciting. Yesterday I met some people and I told them that we are the ones who can change history. That's why we are here now. Do you understand that Mother Earth is a spaceship and we are like astronauts who have come here, which sounds really grandiose. Yes, I understand. It's part of why the diagnosis is just easy, because I do not see the world as we live in it. I do, and say, oh no, this has to change, and no, I will not wear a mask and say I have no voice. And if it means I lose my $14 an hour job that gives me access to people, then I will say, okay, I'm willing to take a stand in the streets and say, no fucking way will I give away my power to say what I believe, because if we give it away now, then we will not have it when we wake up and realize that things are far more serious than the news would tell us, because they're owned by 6 conglomerates that are all organized by the ones who say what they can say and how they can say it too, because did you know that they are even told how they must monger the fear too, because they are actors, as are you and me too, and we're all on this grand stage of life. It's time for us to understand. No longer can we just let them take down our monuments in the name of rebellion. Well, did you know that it's not actually likely us who are rebelling? It's ones that have been paid to stand there and do it as if they were one of us, but they are not, because they are paid by an agenda that is designed to save itself. And if we perpetuate that, we could get wobbly, and that too strong, and it was within me, but I externalized it, and now that is happening too. I have not wrote a monologue specifically, I just channel what comes through, and now it is time for us to understand that history must be told as a story, and it's our stories that we must tell and stand strong and say, no longer will we take on what they told us was the way that we needed to say it, because if we do that, then our story just becomes theirs, and that is what causes the midlife crisis. Did you know it's just when we wake up halfway through our lives and realize that we've been living someone else's dream? So often I meet people and they say, how are you doing? Living the dream, aren't we all? I say, because it's true. Each of us create our own reality, and it's time for us to know we are far more powerful if we step up and take a stand for what we believe in, and we must know that the fight between the faithful and fearful is here in big ways, and there are big players on both sides who are working with us, and we don't need to be afraid, because so long as we are willing to become the warriors, then we can breathe. That's all we need to do. And speak. And stay grounded. And connect. It is time for us to understand that a new history is written with the choices that we make right now. Our choices have power. We live in a universe of cause and effect. Choice and consequence. Right now, if we choose to go along with the main dominant narrative, we become slaves further. We already have. We trade our time for money. When we are beings that are brilliant just as we are, but we were taught not to think that because it would be just too far empowering. Thank you, Josh. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in. And then not just taking them as words, because words are wands. Words do cast spells. That's why we spell our words. And when we do it with our own hand, that means that we are connected directly to the page on which we are writing our hi story. That's all that history really is. It's a reflection back to a particular moment in time where there was either power or chaos and pain that we are being reminded of. And the soul does that too within the Akashic Records, which is essentially an energetic database that contains all of our soul's choices, past, present, future, all souls. All of it's in there, like this grand library that we can go into and pull out our book too, to find choices and restrictions that basically in the past our soul made that did not work out well and caused tremendous pain, for then the soul to be like, hey, don't do that again, right? Remember this, don't do that again. So the soul has set it up for us to remember certain blocks and restrictions simply to not make those choices again. And then as a collective, humanity, we are part of something so much larger, something that is where we all come from, regardless of the hue of our skin. We are just the new humans.